Anthony asked me to make a video about his podcast that he did today with Frank Dukes, the American shithead who does tricks with bricks from Bloodsport, even though technically he's Canadian, so even that's a lie. But the podcast itself is very long and boring and annoying, and I could tell Anthony was annoyed because he's just like, oh, yeah. So I tried to take notes, but it's just so stupid. But I'll start off. This guy, Frank Dukes, says he's the teacher of Dukes Rue, which has been called 5,000 different names. He claims now that it's a branch of Togakureiryu, but as I'll show in a minute, he's a fucking liar. Let's see. First off, his whole story is he's the guy who Van Damme was playing in Bloodsport. So he says that it was done in 1975 in the Nassau in the Bahamas, which is weird because, he was born in 1956, so 1975 he would be 19, but he entered the Marine Corps Reserves in 1975. But he claims to have left the Marines in 1981 as a captain. But if he had entered it in 1975 at 19 years old and was an officer, because you would have to be an officer because it would take 6 years for you to go from 01 to your captain's rank, then you had to have a 4-year degree before. So I guess he graduated college when he was 15 and then enlisted in the reserves as an officer. But as soon as he enlisted in the reserves, he was sent to Jamaica to train, to compete in this blood sport by the CIA, but he says in another interview that he was training 18 hours a day before that, so who knows? Of course, the actual records of him and his military career show that he never left the continental U.S., and his only injuries were just him falling off a truck while he was painting it. So, and I'm sure Don will post down here and tell you more about his psych evaluations and things like that. But yeah, this guy's just a fucking mess. Another story. Jack Hoban. Jack was saying that he met Dukes, and anyone who knows Jack knows that Jack was a captain in the Marines. And he was talking to Dukes, and he's like, oh, where'd you go through your training, blah, blah, blah. Dukes is like, oh, yeah, it's a secret, blah, 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 I can't tell you about it. Just completely full of shit, liar. And then, we have Dukes appearing with his Marine Corps uniform with his Army medals on it. Brilliant. And then he said it was for a costume party or for a movie. And the story changes back and forth. But, you don't wear your uniform as a costume. It's just, no one does that. So, we know what you were trying to do, you fuck. But anyway, let's see. He says he invented the term shidoshi, which is weird because when we were talking about Bryce Dallas and his bullshit thing, he claimed, oh no, the Bujinkan didn't invent the term shidoshi. It was in a dictionary in 1918, which is true, but it's different kanji. The way that Frank Dukes over here says that he invented the term was yon michi shi. He says it means what the hell is it? Four ways of the corpse, which is fucking retarded. She is different. It means death. But why would you call your teacher 4 ways of the corpse? That's just doesn't even make sense. Shido Sha is like the director of a business or something like that. Shidoshi, same thing. But the way that Hatsumi writes it, it's like an instructor, a teacher of the warrior ways, which is completely different. But Dukes doesn't speak Japanese, so of course he can't really do anything about that. As you can tell from the way that he says Tagakaru and Masaka. Then let's see. Oh, and then he was talking about how in Black Belt Magazine, that he didn't get in Black Belt Magazine because it blocked all non-Steve Hayes ninjutsu teachers. Ron Duncan, that fuck was in it. Harunaka Hoshino. Those Korean Seoul Sa faggots, those guys. That Canadian guy with the afro, I forget his name, he's a Kogoryu guy. This guy just constantly lies. He's like Greg and Krista and all those faggots. Let's see, what else? Oh, and he can't pronounce any Japanese words, like I just said. He's like, oh yeah, Steve Hayes shows Hachi no Kame. It's like, he has another guy with him too, Alan Woodman. The guy says he lived in Japan for 20 years. And Anthony said something, and then this Alan Woodman guy, like, his accent is, it's not the accent of someone who would live in Japan for 20 years. And he says like, Watashi no Nihongo. I gotta see, I have it written down here actually, let me see. Something weird. It was like not even a sentence that you would normally think. Scroll it up. What the hell? Oh, let me see. He says, Watashi no Nihongo hanto no ni omai desu yo, which isn't even a sentence. It doesn't even make sense. And the desu yo is only for hicks and assholes. Or Miyu in Shijo Saikyo no Deshi Kenichi. But yeah, it's 41 minutes into the recording. So let's see. Oh, and anyway, about the Shidoshi thing, Soke, he says that Steve Hayes first said it in 80, and that he was teaching ninjutsu before Steve Hayes. When Steve's book came out in 1981, you had Andy Adams come out in the 70s. You had Hatsumi in Black Belt Magazine in December 1966. So this is another guy like Ron Duncan claiming they were the first people in America saying this stuff. Retarded. What else did he say? Yeah, and the Shidoshi Kai was formed in the 1970s. What else? Oh, and then as for the Togakure Ryu stuff, Duke says that his teacher, Tiger Tanaka, the guy, from the James Bond movie, which is where he got it, learned Togakure Ryu, like in the James Bond movie. But I have this, and he says, oh, people attribute stuff to me that I never said. Here's a video of Frank Dukes talking about where his ninjutsu is from. Let's just turn this around. Bring this up. There we go. I'm pretty sure that's Frank Dukes right there. And his dogi here, it says Koga Yamabushi, because he claimed Koga Yamabushi Ryu. But let's back it up. And so you have different families. My family, because I have changed the system enough that it suits me. All right. Before that was my instructor, Mr. Tanaka, who also stylized it, and he had his own family name. He, however, is now going through the Yagyu school, which is still in existence in Japan today. You can still find it. Hear that? I'll post a link to this. Before that was my instructor, Mr. Tanaka, who also stylized it, and he had his own family name. He, however, is now going through the Yagyu school, which is still in existence in Japan today. So, is it Togakure Ryu? No, I don't think so. He claims his teacher, Tiger Tanaka, is a student of Yagyu Ninjutsu, but he just claims with Anthony that Tiger Tanaka trained in Togakure Ryu Ninjutsu. Watch this whole video here. He says that ninja were not samurai, but he says in his interview with Anthony that he agrees with everything Anthony said. He says that ninja is an eclectic fighting art, taking all the best martial arts from India to Japan. Actually, what he says was Iga, which is South Japan, and Koka is North Japan. They're not two provinces that are next to each other. They're North and South. All the Iga families are the Momochi, fuck yes, and the Hattori. And then the Koka is the 50, not 53, 50 families derived from Prince Shotoku. And Prince Shotoku traveled to India and China and brought all the best warriors and brought them, and they formed the Koga ninja. And That's where his art comes from. And Iga and Koga always battled each other. And samurai were stuck following Bushido. So that's why these Iga and Koga ninja were up in the hills. And then they formed this White Lotus Society and they became mercenaries, even though we know that there's really not too much reference to Watari no Ninja, which were mercenary ninja. So he's just talking out of his ass more. I'm going to just post this actual whole video. You can see how horrible it is. And what else did he say? He's just complete bullshit and nonsense. We all know he's a liar. There's not really much else to say, and this video is getting pretty long. So maybe I'll add more to it. I didn't even bother listening to the whole thing because I can't. It's just too annoying. Just retarded. Oh, the most important part. I almost ended the video without it. He also claims that his Togakure Ryu is from Charles Gruzanski. See, what Dukes does is he takes people who died and then uses their name because they can't defend themselves. He did that with the CIA guy. He says, oh yeah, I was sent to do the Bloodsport thing by this CIA guy. He said that 1 year after the guy died, so obviously the guy can't argue. But I guess he didn't know about Robert. And he goes, oh yeah, I trained in Togakure Ryu with John Keane and Charles Gruzanski. But Robert came on and said, my father has never trained with this guy. My father does not know Togakure Ryu. It is insulting that you would say that about my father because he would not disrespect his teacher by teaching something that he was not allowed to teach, even though he was a student of Hatsumi because they both trained in Masaki Ryu under Nawa Sensei. So this guy is a fucking liar on 3 levels, and he's a complete psychopath, and it's embarrassing. It's just really embarrassing that people like this exist and are given time. And I'm not a member of the Historical Ninjutsu research team anymore because it got too ridiculous, but I'm sure some people are probably kissing his ass over there, so whatever. But that's about it. And if I find more, I'll add more, but I really don't want to listen to that anymore. This guy's bullshit. It's annoying. Worse than Chris, worse than Jake. Who the fuck is Jake? Greg. That's Chris Jacobson. Whatever. I'm done.